DJI is obviously best known for their drones. We just looked at the new Avatar 360 on this channel recently, but in recent years, their rolling gimbals and smaller Osmo cameras have also become really successful and popular. DJI basically combined these two areas of expertise when they create the Osmo Pocket series. I bought the original Osmo Pocket when it first came out because it was such a cool and innovative idea. A tiny camera with a built-in gimbal that literally fits in your pocket. But it was really the Osmo Pocket 3 that made the series explode in popularity. A lot of companies have tried to create the perfect vlogging or travel camera, but like I've mentioned many times on this channel, every product comes with compromises. And it feels like no company has really nailed the perfect balance between image quality, features, how easy to use, and portability, which are all extremely important to the users. The small form factor of the Osmo Pocket 3, combined with the 1-inch sensor, built-in gimbal, and easy-to-use interface, make it a camera that's easy to carry, easy for everyone to use, and still capable of delivering solid image quality in almost any situation. It may not be the best camera in any single area, but it's good enough across the board. Now, good enough might sound a bit negative, but when a product is good enough in almost every area, the result is actually more than just good enough, because it doesn't have any major weakness that most other products would have. That's why the Pocket 3 has pretty much dominated the vlogging and travel camera market since it was released. And now we have the successor, the Osmo Pocket 4. I have been testing it since the beginning of the year. I have taken it with me on a few trips, used it to shoot some of my YouTube reviews, and also filmed quite a bit of behind the scenes content with it. So in this video, I'm going to share my real world experience. I will walk you through what's new and the things I like and don't like about the Osmo Pocket 4. And most importantly, does it still have that perfect balance that made the Osmo Pocket 3 so good? And for full transparency, DJI sent me this Osmo Pocket 4 for review, but they didn't pay me any money. Just want to make it clear before we start. At first glance, the Osmo Pocket 4 looks almost identical to the Pocket 3. Apart from the Pocket 4 printed on the side, the only real difference is that the body color is slightly lighter and the body is slightly taller, most likely due to the larger 1545 mAh built-in battery. The micro SD card slot on the side now has a cover, which should make it slightly more weather resistant. Another small change is that the card slot direction is now reversed. On the Pocket 3, the rear of the card faces you when you insert the card, and now on the Pocket 4 is the front of the card that faces you when you insert the card. So if you're used to the Pocket 3, you will probably try inserting the card the wrong way at first and wonder why it doesn't go in. The most important feature of the Osmo Pocket series is the built-in gimbal and the camera at the top. The gimbal helps stabilize your footage. Whether you are walking or running, the video still looks really smooth. When I went to Queenstown back in February, I used a body mount to film myself riding the luge, which is basically like a real-life downhill Mario Kart race. The ride is actually pretty bumpy, but the footage still came out really nice and steady. But the gimbal not only stabilizes footage, it also enables object tracking. This isn't new, but ActiveTrack has now been upgraded to version 7.0, and I found it works extremely well. It can track humans, animals, vehicles, pretty much anything. And it even works when you use the new 4x zoom feature, which I'll talk about shortly. I mostly use ActiveTrack to follow myself when I'm filming by myself or I want some behind the scene footage. And it worked really well. This is one of the tests I did with very early pre-production firmware.
It's pretty solid. Whoosh! It tracked back. There were so many people behind you as well, and it was all good.
Yeah. Alright, cool.
I wonder if
Well, it still tracks me.
it's still going. If someone walks in front of you, do you want to try?
Yeah.
If I-
Like, okay, I'm good.
So you're going.
So I walk. Sorry, this way.
This way. Oh,
Yeah, it still tracks me.
it's tracking you.
Yeah, so it's good.
Solid.
Alright, you're doing a good job, DJI.
The only thing you need to aware is that there is a limitation on the physical range of the gimbal. For example, the pan axis is around 300 degrees total and is not symmetrical. So if your subject moves a lot around the camera, it can hit its limit and stop tracking. So keep that in mind. The camera sensor is still 1 inch like the Pocket 3, but it's a new sensor. DJI claims it can deliver up to 14 stops of dynamic range, along with faster frame rates and higher photo resolution. We'll take a closer look at image quality later. The lens is a 20mm equivalent with an f2 aperture and a minimum focus distance of 0.2 meter. Since these specs are identical to the Pocket 3, I assume it's the same lens. Focus breathing is still noticeable, but you can enable focus breathing compensation to reduce it, at the cost of a slightly tighter field of view. At the back of the gimbal, DJI has added new electronic contacts for the new magnetic field light. This is a completely new accessory. You attach it to the gimbal magnetically and it draws power directly from the Pocket 4, so you don't need to charge the light separately. Okay, now I'm recording using just the Osmo Pocket 4. So this area is actually not too dark, so I think the Osmo Pocket 4 can handle it quite well. But because my face is in shadow, so my face is a bit underexposed. But now let me turn on the light attachment accessory. Alright, now my face is much better in terms of brightness because of the light, and I can also adjust the brightness of the light because right now it is at the lowest setting. And now this is the second brightness setting, and now this is the brightest. And apart from the brightness, I can also adjust the color temperature. So let me press it once, and now it is quite a bit cooler in terms of color temperature, and now it is much warmer. Below the gimbal is the rotatable 2-inch screen, which is similar to the Pocket 3, but once you rotate it, you'll notice two new buttons behind. The left button controls zoom, a single press toggle between normal and 2x zoom, and a double press goes to 4x zoom. The Pocket 4 doesn't have optical zoom, so both are digital. 2x zoom looks really good with almost no quality loss, and with 4x the picture quality drops a bit, but it's still usable. And together it definitely gives you more flexibility. For the right button, single press is quick capture, double press is recenter the gimbal, and triple press is to lock the direction of the gimbal. It's something I really like. On the Pocket 3, if you want to do that, you have to press and hold the joystick, which is difficult if you are filming for a longer time. This button is also customizable. You can long press and assign different functions. These two hidden buttons is a clever design because it adds functionality without making the camera bigger or a lot more intimidating. The only downside is when you rotate the screen into vertical orientation, it blocks access to both buttons. Below the screen, you have the joystick and the record button, just like the Pocket 3. But the joystick is now a 5D analog joystick. So you can control the speed of the gimbal based on how much you push it. Because the joystick is quite small, precise analog control takes a bit of practice. At first, I didn't think these changes were a big deal, but when I went back to the Pocket 3, I then realized how much better control I had with the Pocket 4. Another new addition is internal storage, 107GB, which is fantastic. The internal storage is enough for you to record almost 5 hours of 4K 30 footage, no matter you're recording in 10-bit standard color profile or D-Log. If you record in 4K 60, then you can record 3 hours 51 minutes. Or you can record more than 8 hours of 1080p 60 video. I have lost count of how many times I forgot to bring a memory card when heading out to shoot. Now, it's not an issue anymore if that happens again. I actually end up shooting almost everything to the internal storage and just transferring files via USB when I got home. Speaking of USB, the USB has also been upgraded to 3.1 with transfer speed up to 800 MB per second. I didn't measure it, but it definitely feels very fast. That's probably one of the main reasons why I just use the internal storage instead of micro SD card. Even wireless transfer to the smartphone seems quicker thanks to Wi-Fi 6 upgrade. Overall, if you have used the Pocket 3 before, you can pick up the Pocket 4 and start shooting straight away with almost no learning curve, and you will appreciate some of the new upgrades. To be honest, I was kind of hoping to see a more dramatic redesign for the Pocket 4, but one big advantage of keeping a very similar body and lens design is that almost all the Pocket 3 accessories would work with the Pocket 4. All the magnetic lens filters, including the wide-angle lens, the handle, the DJI Mic 2 or the Mic Mini, even the camera holder that clamps onto the body, and some Pocket 3 third-party accessories I've tried all seems to work just fine with the Pocket 4. So if you already have a Osmo Pocket 3 with a bunch of accessories, you can just buy the basic Pocket 4 standard combo. Otherwise, I will recommend you get the Pocket 4 Creator Combo, which includes most of the essential accessories, including the new DJI Mic 3. Now, if you compare the Pocket 4 Creator Combo with the Pocket 3 Creator Combo, the Pocket 4 includes the new magnetic field light that I showed earlier, and also a soft carry pouch, but it no longer includes the hard protective case or the battery handle. Both of these work perfectly with the Pocket 4. DJI told me the battery handle is not included because they swap it with the field light, but if you already have the battery handle from the Pocket 3, you can use it with the Pocket 4. If you're interested to see exactly what's included in the Pocket 4 Creator Combo, I have a short unboxing video on my channel. Now let's take a look at the video performance. First, a basic vlogging style test. This was shot in auto mode, just handheld, in 4K 30 using the normal color profile. The footage looks really nice and smooth thanks to the gimbal. It's super stable. The image quality is solid, and you can also get a bit of background separation thanks to the 1-inch sensor and f2 lens. This is exactly what made the Osmo Pocket 3 so popular. It's very easy to capture nice looking video no matter you are standing, walking or running. When I compared it side by side with the Pocket 3, there wasn't a huge difference. In the Pocket 4 video, the cloud have a bit more detail than the Pocket 3. And the video also looks a little bit more natural. Now, DJI claims the new sensor can deliver up to 14 stops of dynamic range when shooting in 10-bit D-Log at 4K 30 or 4K 60. 14 stops is a lot, basically full-frame camera territory. You might notice I said D-Log, not D-Log M, which is what most DJI Osmo cameras use. So what's the difference? D-Log is the full log profile, designed to capture the maximum dynamic range. D-Log M is more like a lighter version. It still captures a good amount of dynamic range, but less than full D-Log. The reason for having the two different log profile is that if a sensor cannot fully utilize the full dynamic range, using a lighter profile makes better use of the available 10-bit data. That's why smaller cameras like the Osmo action cameras or consumer drones usually use D-Log M, while DJI's higher-end systems like the Roland 4D cinema camera or Maverick 3 uses full D-Log. So the fact that the Pocket 4 uses D-Log suggests that DJI believes the new sensor's performance has improved significantly. To test this, I shot some clips side by side with the Pocket 3 in my garden on a sunny day. These were shot in log profile and has not been color graded, so they look flat. It's a very high contrast scene. Looking at the area around the sun, the blown out highlight area is a bit smaller on the Pocket 4, which means it retains a bit more highlight. And at the same time, there's more details in the shadow area under the gutter. So together, this suggests the Pocket 4 does indeed have better dynamic range. What's interesting is that even when I shoot in normal color profile, the Pocket 4 still handles high dynamic scenes a bit better, retaining more highlight and shadow detail. So overall, it does look like the new sensor has improvement in dynamic range. One thing I noticed is that when you are shooting in log profile in manual mode, the minimum ISO on the Pocket 3 is ISO 50, while on the Pocket 4 is ISO 400. It's likely related to the D-Log profile. It does mean that if you use ND filter to slow down the shutter speed, you'll need 3 stops stronger ND on the Pocket 4 when you are shooting under bright condition to achieve the same shutter speed. Another change is that the Pocket 4 no longer supports HLG. In fact, none of the latest Osmo cameras seems to support HLG anymore. For myself, I prefer to shoot in D-Log because it just gives me a lot more control in terms of highlight and shadow details, and I will also set the noise reduction and sharpening to -2 so that I can just apply them myself when I'm editing the video. But the downside is you have to edit your video to color grade it. If you don't want to do any video editing, the Pocket 4 has 6 different built-in film tones, so you can select one of them and apply to your video. But not only that, you can also adjust the strength of the film tone, so you can have your video looks more stylish or more natural depending on your preference. Most cameras these days can shoot decent video during the day. The real difference shows when shooting at night. Most small cameras like action cameras or 360 cameras rely on electronic stabilization, which works very well but requires faster shutter speed to keep individual frames sharp, as electronic stabilization cannot fix blurry video. That means when you're shooting at night, you have to shoot at higher ISO, which hurts image quality. Because the Pocket 4 has a gimbal to stabilize the video, so it doesn't need to rely on electronic stabilization. That allows the camera to shoot at normal shutter speed and keep ISO lower. Here's some footage I shot at night. For a camera this small, The image quality is really decent. Let's look at some side-by-side comparison with the Pocket 3. While there isn't a huge difference because the Pocket 3 is already very good, but I can see more shadow detail on the Pocket 4. And when my face is in shadow, it also handles it better. DJI said Pocket 4's low light video dynamic range has improved, and it seems to be true. I want to see how Pocket 4 compares to something most of us already carry, a phone. So I compared it with my iPhone 16 Pro at night. First, I compared with iPhone's main rear camera. Side by side, the Pocket 4 is better, but the iPhone actually holds up reasonably well. The main issue with the iPhone is stabilization. Even though the iPhone has sensor shift stabilization, it appears it still heavily relies on electronic stabilization. At night, the shutter speed drops, you started to see blur, especially when there is a bit of camera shake. When I start running, the difference becomes very obvious. The Pocket 4 stays smooth and sharp, while the iPhone footage struggles. Now, switching to iPhone's front-facing camera, which is what we'll use for vlogging, as we can see ourselves, the difference is much bigger. The iPhone footage is noticeably noisier and lacks details, while the Pocket 4 stays clean and sharp because it is still the same camera and lens, just turned around. And again, once I start running, the iPhone footage just falls apart, while the Pocket 4 still looks very good. One of Pocket 4's most exciting new feature is 4K recording at 240 frames per second. There is a slight crop when shooting at 4K 240, and it's limited to standard color profile. There's also no audio since it's recorded as slow motion video. But the image quality of the 4K 240 video is very good. The video is sharp and I didn't see any noticeable artifacts. It's basically as good as the normal 4K footage apart from you're not able to shoot in D-Log. If you have been waiting for 4K 240, maybe this is already the reason for you to get the Osmo Pocket 4. Recently, I shot some videos for Fujifilm as one of their global campaigns. For one of the scenes, I wanted to create a really artistic look using a super slow shutter speed. But the challenge is, I want to set the shutter speed slower than the video frame rate, and that's something most cameras simply don't allow. So what we end up doing was shooting a series of photos at a slow shutter speed and then stitching them together into a video afterwards. It worked, but it was quite a lot of effort. What's interesting is that I can easily do that with the Pocket 4 because it allows us to dial in manual shutter speed as slow as 1/4 second when shoot video. So if I want to recreate that same shot with the Pocket 4, it would be much easier. If you combine the slow shutter speed with the stabilized video footage from the gimbal and maybe even with the ActiveTrack feature, it opens up a lot of possibility for you to capture some really creative video that would be otherwise very hard to do with other normal cameras. For photos, one big upgrade is the new Super Photo mode. The Super Photo mode increases resolution to 37 megapixel in 1:1 aspect ratio or 33 megapixel in 16:9 aspect ratio. So it's 4 times the resolution of the Pocket 3. If you compare normal resolution JPEGs from the Pocket 3 and the Pocket 4, there isn't a huge difference. But once you switch to Pocket 4's Super Photo mode, the extra details captured by the Super Photo mode is very noticeable. This test was shot at ISO 160. So what about if I shoot at high ISO? At ISO 800, Super Photo mode still resolves more detail and looks cleaner. At ISO 1600, the difference becomes smaller. The Super Photo mode still has a slight edge, but it's not as dramatic. So when shooting in low light and you have to raise ISO, the benefit of Super Photo mode is reduced. But when you are shooting during the day or you manage to keep the ISO low, the Super Photo mode definitely captures a lot more detail. One limitation I noticed, at least with my pre-production firmware, is that Super Photo mode doesn't allow full menu control. You can adjust ISO range and exposure compensation, but not everything.
Okay, now let's do a bit of audio quality test. And I'm right now recording audio using the Pocket 4's built-in microphone. I think if you just want to have a very easy to use setup so that you can just turn on the camera and start shooting right away, the audio captured by the Pocket 4's built-in microphone, the quality I think is pretty acceptable. Under most situations, the audio is pretty okay. But just like pretty much any camera that uses built-in microphone to capture audio, there are 2 main issues. The first one is if you are shooting your video on a windy day, then you may hear a lot of wind noise because the built-in microphone doesn't have any windscreen on it. And the second one is, like right now I'm standing about half a meter from the camera, so you should be able to hear my voice pretty good. But if I stand further away, like right now I'm about maybe 2-3 meters away from the camera, and my voice will be much harder to hear. So I have to stand much closer to the microphone, then you'll hear my voice much better. And I'm now in a pretty quiet place, so if you are shooting in a much noisier place, it will be even worse. But of course there is a solution, and that is to use wireless microphone. You can use the wireless microphone from DJI, the DJI Mic 2, Mic 3 or Mic Mini. So let me switch to the DJI Mic 3 and continue this test. Okay, I'm now recording audio using the DJI Mic 3. To connect a DJI microphone to the Pocket 4 is very easy. Once you have done the initial pairing, the next time you switch on the microphone, then it should automatically connect to the Pocket 4 within a few seconds. You don't need to use any external receiver connect to the Pocket 4. It just automatically pair it and connect it using Bluetooth. So that is very easy. And I have attached the provided windscreen onto the microphone to reduce wind noise. So how is the audio quality captured using the Mic 3 compared to the built-in microphone? It should sound better. But the biggest advantage, apart from able to minimize wind noise, is that I can now walk any distance away from the camera. Even I walk like right now, like 5 meters or so, I can walk 100 meters away from the camera, and the audio that capture should be pretty much the same level, same quality, and that is one of the biggest advantage when you are using a wireless microphone. Another thing you can do when you are recording audio using wireless microphone is you can set up the camera to record audio from both the wireless microphone and the built-in microphone. So the camera's built-in microphone would be recording ambient sound. So that means when you are editing video, you can adjust how much ambient sound you want your viewer to listen to. So you can make the ambient sound higher if you want to increase the atmosphere sound, or you can minimize the amount of ambient sound if you want people to hear the person speaking much clearer. So that is another thing that you can do with the Pocket 4. The Osmo Pocket 4 has a built-in, non-replaceable 1545 mAh battery, which is about 19% larger than the Osmo Pocket 3. For casual shooting, it can easily last me a full day. But if you are planning to shoot a lot of video, it's a good idea to bring a power bank to top up the battery. Or you can get the optional battery extension grip from the Pocket 3 because it also works fine with the Pocket 4. I also did a battery test, testing both the Pocket 3 and the Pocket 4 side by side. The Pocket 3 lasts 135 minutes recording 4K 30 video, which is not bad. But the Pocket 4 managed to record 201 minutes before the battery died, which is super impressive. When I did the test, my room temperature was about 24 degrees Celsius, which is around 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I measured Pocket 4's temperature at the end of the recording, and it was only 43.6 degrees Celsius or 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which is only a little bit warm if you hold it in your hand. If you shoot in 4K 60 or higher frame rate, the Pocket 4 will heat up faster. But so far, even with long continuous recording on a sunny day, I haven't run into any overheating problems at all. So I have been using the Pocket 4 for quite a while now, and there's a lot I really like, but I also found a few limitations. Let's start with the positives. Last month, I went to South Island of New Zealand to shoot my Panasonic Lumix TZ300 review and my Avatar 360 review. By the way, I like to shoot more outdoor reviews at different locations because I think it makes the review looks more interesting, and also that allows me to try out the gear in different locations. But these trips are not cheap, and usually they are completely paid by myself, and I rarely do any sponsor video on this channel. So if you do enjoy this video or any other video on this channel and want to support me, what I'm asking is just to hit the like button and maybe drop a comment to support my channel. Anyway, normally I would bring something like my full frame Lumix S9 or S5 too, but this time I decided to take the Osmo Pocket 4 instead so I could travel lighter. Everything fits into a small bag, and I didn't even need a full-size tripod. Just a small monopod is enough. That made traveling much easier. I was really impressed with the image quality. I shot mostly in D-Log, which gave me excellent dynamic range, especially useful since it was super sunny with lots of high contrast scenes. I also use ActiveTrack quite a bit, which works really well. With the 1-inch sensor and the f2 lens, I can get a bit of foreground-background separation, which helps me stand out from the background. I also wanted to shoot some car-mounted B-roll during that trip. If I bought a larger camera, then I would need a complicated rig with multiple suction cups, and even then, vibration could be an issue. But with the Pocket 4, because it's so small and lightweight, I just need a single suction cup with a small magic arm. That allowed me to mount it in many different positions, on the door, at the back of the car, on the window, windscreens, and get a variety of angles easily. Thanks to the gimbal, the footage was also very smooth. Using the DJI Mimo app, I could connect to the Pocket 4 wirelessly and adjust framing from inside the car. The new Analog Joystick also made fine adjustment easier.
All of these made shooting B-roll much faster and more flexible. For vlogging style shots, it's also much easier to do. I just put the DJI Mic 3 on me and it connects to the Pocket 4 automatically without needing any extra receivers. The whole setup is very small and lightweight, so I can hold the camera for longer periods without getting tired. On a family trip earlier this year, I also shot a lot of video in 4K 240. Nothing too cinematic, but it was a lot of fun. Being able to reuse all the accessories from the Pocket 3 is also a big plus. Now for the downsides. First, vertical video. Like the Pocket 3, you flip the screen to vertical orientation to shoot vertically, which is a great intuitive design, but it still uses a crop of the sensor instead of rotating the camera 90 degrees. That means a narrower field of view and smaller sensor area. Well, is it a big deal? Well, not really. But given how popular vertical video is, it would be nice to see a proper rotation, or it uses a square sensor like the one from the Osmo 360. So if you do a vertical crop, there's no change in the field of view or the effective sensor size. But there is a workaround. Instead of flicking the screen to vertical and change the camera to vertical mode, you can just hold the camera sideways. It's not as convenient, but you can keep the same field of view and effective sensor size. Second, it's still not weatherproof. Yes, there is now a cover for the micro SD card slot, but apart from that, the camera doesn't seem to have improved weather resistance. So you still need to be careful in rain. Third, which is actually more of a wish list. Right now, you've got roughly 15mm focal length to 80mm coverage with the wide angle lens adapter and digital zoom. That's probably good enough for most situations, but I love to see optical zoom on multiple lenses in the future, especially if it means I don't have to use the wide angle lens adapter because I cannot use that with any magnetic filters at the same time.
After almost 8 years and 3 iterations, the Osmo Pocket series has really grown up. From a small, innovative idea with lots of potential into a much more mature product packed with features and a very polished design. This latest version might look like a smaller update from the outside, but the changes do make it a better all-around camera than its predecessor. And that 4K 240 frames per second is just super fun.
If you already have a Pocket 3, it might be a hard decision to decide if you should upgrade or not. Pocket 3 is still a great camera even today. It's still good enough for most people. But if you're someone who just wants the best, the most versatile, pocketable camera that is available in the market right now, or you have been thinking about getting the Pocket 3 for a while but still haven't got one, then the Osmo Pocket 4 is definitely hard to resist.